Shrapnel.
Greetings, fellow lovers of film, and welcome to Film Shrapnel, your one-stop spot for everything movies. Hello, Craig.
Hey Tobias, how's it going?
I'm good, man. How are you?
Pretty good, pretty good. Doing our little monthly round hump again.
The monthly round hump. Again, all the names we have for things, they're like pending names. I'm sure we'll have to come up with a better name for the monthly roundup than monthly round hump. I'm telling you.
I think round hump is sticking with me.
I know. You like all these little things. You like keep it knees and all these little other things that have just sort of happened per chance over the course of the pod.
It's natural. It's how it should be. The natural progression of it all.
All right. Fair enough. If I had my way, the whole podcast would have been the cage match, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I think changes happen for the best. Craig, what are we doing today?
We're doing love, hate, and want more of thingamajig, where we summarize. Thingamajig. Basically, we give each other 5 minutes to talk about something we love, then something we hate, and then something we want more of that we've watched recently. We keep it to 5 minutes because otherwise, I don't know, some of these things we could talk forever about, I'm pretty sure, especially the hate side.
Yeah, that's true. I've got quite a few things to say about my hate. I will say that.
It's like therapy, isn't it?
It is like therapy, yeah. It's cathartic. Just a little disclaimer for you, Craig, and the audience out there. Today, I'm recording outside. So if you get any weird atmospherics from my audio, I do apologize in advance.
A new kind of audio era that we're going to have, huh?
A new audio era that I'm introducing to the podcast. So yeah, a little disclaimer now.
This episode is sponsored by Outdoor Sound Effects.
Who's going to begin, Craig? Do you want to kick us off?
What should we start with? I always forget if it's
love. Start with love.
All right, that's nice to start with some love. Okay, I don't mind going first if you want.
Yeah, go on. Can you be the timekeeper as always? Of course.
Yeah. All right, I'm gonna stick. I'm gonna press start now. All right. So I loved The Last of Us. Yeah, I know this is coming out probably about in May, so it's been a while. But yeah, I did quite like that show. I think what I like quite liked about it, Jesus Christ, was how it kind of had an interesting little episodic formula that kind of like each single episode seemed to kind of focus a little bit more on a different character or group of people, which I thought was quite nice. I think it's partly because it was based on a video game, so they wanted to like, maybe we need to beef this up with a bit more story in this. I haven't actually played the game. My brother played it, and I saw it was quite cool. Like, for example, this is a great bit in one of the best episodes a lot of people say is the one with Nick Offerman in it, where he plays this prepper. You know what a prepper is, Tobias?
What is a prepper?
A prepper is basically a guy or a woman or whatever, anybody really, who is basically planning for the apocalypse. And they always prepare everything. They have like a bunker and all this kind of stuff. You know, So he obviously survives this apocalypse, and basically there's one whole episode where it kind of takes a break from the two main characters, Bella Ramsey's character and Pedro Pascal's character, and you just watch this prepper, and he falls in love with someone he meets, who's another man, by the way, and a lot of people thought, this is really funny for like all these conservative guys probably watching this, and then. Because prepping is quite a conservative thing, you know, and then they turn out the character is gay. And it's quite nice, actually. It's very sweet. And so there's these two other characters that we meet along the way in Kansas City, and then these two brothers, one older brother who's basically an adult, and he has a younger brother who's deaf. And basically there's like a militia in the city that's looking for them. And it's because basically the older brother sold out information to get someone killed in his militia so he could get his little brother leukemia medicine, and his brother's also deaf. And so you kind of start to build up a little bond with them and everything. And then at the end, the little brother becomes infected and the older brother has to shoot his little brother who's like 10 in the head. And then he goes a bit crazy and shoots himself in the head, and it's kind of a bit fucked up. There was a couple of things I was expecting more from in The Last of Us. There's definitely not enough zombies, infected, or whatever you want to call them. I was actually really also quite surprised by how anticlimactic the ending was. It just kind of ends, and I was expecting like, oh, okay, it's going to be on next week, and they've like, no, that was the end. It's like, no way, there must be more. There wasn't enough zombies and action at the end for that to be the end. So that was kind of a bit surprising. It's also quite interesting as well. Yeah, there's really not enough zombies, so it really feels like the story is really about the people more than anything else, which maybe could be a good thing. I mean, some people have been saying there's too much zombie stuff recently. But yeah, Pedro Pascal and Bella Ramsey were both really good. I was actually really surprised by Bella Ramsey because I remember watching her in Game of Thrones as a kid, and now here she is making her name for herself, really, which is quite nice. What else have I got written here? What's also quite interesting about this show, sometimes you get yourself thinking about it, is because the infection is supposed to have happened like 20 years before. So really, it's like it starts in the 2000s, and then here we are, like 20 years later, with the infection still destroying the earth. So like we sometimes you catch yourself realizing all these things that we've gotten used to in our world have never happened there, because like in the last 20 years, like smartphones, for example, stuff like this, which is sometimes a bit odd to think about. Yeah, I did like it. I'm interested to see what will happen in the next season. I know a little bit about it. That I think Pedro Pascal's character is probably going to die soon, but we'll see what happens. That's my 5.
All right, cool. I mean, I'll be honest with you. I'm really not that interested in watching it. I know people have been saying, "Oh, mate, you've got to watch The Last of Us," and I'm just really not that interested. You know, I think I'm sort of done with like zombie shit. Certainly, long-winded, drawn-out zombie TV shows like Walking Dead was. Like, yeah, I can't be asked. I can't be asked. They're all pretty much the same, and it's never very good after a couple of seasons. It'll be good for like 2 seasons, and then it becomes shit. You know, it's just how the way it always goes. Yeah, I can't be asked.
I think this is definitely better than The Walking Dead. Like, I remember when I watched The Walking Dead years ago, the first episode I thought was great. It was really cool.
Yeah.
And then it just became like this kind of soap opera. And I was like, this is not what I wanted to watch. I wanted to watch something about zombies. And so I got really bored and just never watched it. And then it was on for like, how many seasons? Like 7, 8 seasons? So
I think it's still on.
Is it really?
I think so. I think
That's
it's like
nuts.
fucking 15 seasons or some shit like that. 45 seasons. Something crazy.
That's insane. I can't believe that. But with The Last of Us, I don't think they're going to do that. I think they're going to be a bit clever, and they're going to keep it to as long as the story needs to be.
Time will tell.
Yeah. And what's also quite nice about The Last of Us is that it's quite limited with the cast. It's not like a million survivors band together, so it becomes like a soap opera. Like it's literally like it's always just a few people here and there, so it feels a bit more got that survivor factor a bit more than I think The Walking Dead had. But we'll see. We'll see.
All right. Well, I know. Maybe I should give it a watch, but I just can't be asked. Anyway, are you ready for my one?
I'm ready. Should I go?
Yeah. Start the clock and let me know when to go.
Clock starting now.
Okay. So what I love this month, and I haven't finished it yet. I'm actually quite a few episodes behind. I'm only a few episodes in, but so far I've really liked Ted Lasso. It's like season 3 now. I'm only a couple of episodes in, but I really enjoyed the first 2 seasons. And like, to be fair, by now it might have tailed off. I'm not sure because I haven't watched it, but I'm really enjoying what I've seen so far. Um, I'm a sucker for football stuff. I really like football stuff. And I like the gimmick of Ted Lasso, that it's like an American guy, like an American football coach who doesn't really understand the rules of soccer, but they don't understand the rules of football. But what he can bring to the team is like heart, and I quite like that. I quite like heart in my sport movies. I think sport movies need heart. Um, what's great about it, I mean, like, the acting's pretty good. I think everyone gives a pretty good performance. You've got, what's his name, Jason Sudeikis. He's pretty good in it. He plays Ted Lasso. And then there's this English guy. I think his name's Brett Gold something. But he's like a British. He's a British actor. I recognise him from loads of British TV shows. He was in Derek, the Ricky Gervais show Derek. He was in Uncle, which is a show I've really, really loved. Like, with me and my brother, we loved Uncle a lot. He was in this really obscure British superhero film called Super Bob, and he was revealed in the end credits scene. Oh, spoilers, by the way, for Marvel fans if you haven't seen it already. But he was shown in the end credits of Thor: Love and Thunder, and he's now Hercules in the Marvel universe. But he plays Roy Kent. He's like this geezer, like proper English geezer, who's like, he was the captain of AFC Richmond, the fictional team of the show. And then he went on to play for Chelsea, but now he's back as a coach. He's a great character. And apparently he is in FIFA 23. I didn't know this. I haven't played FIFA in a few years, but apparently there's an AFC Richmond Ted Lasso mode on FIFA 23, which kind of makes me want to buy FIFA 23 and buy a PlayStation for it. Other characters in it, you've got Nathan Shelley. He's a great little character. He goes from good to bad. Rebecca Welton, the owner, she's brilliant. And Jamie Tart, what a great footballer. He's fucking brilliant. Jamie Tart, he's brilliant. It's funny. It's teaching Americans what real football's all about. It's got heart. It's really well written. Like, all the comedy's great. Ted Lasso's basically the American Jurgen Klopp. That's basically all I have to say.
Fair play.
Is that 5 minutes?
No, you got a minute and a half more if you want it.
Really? Oh,
yeah.
It's just really good. Everyone should watch it, especially if you like football. If you're English, I think you'll like it. There's a lot of jokes for you if you're English. And if you like football and you're an American, then there's a lot of jokes for you as well. It's overall really good, man. I know you're not a big football guy, but I think you would like this. It's a really funny show. And like, it's less about the football and it's more about community and friendship and loyalty, and, you know, maybe just living your life slightly, you know, with a sort of different mindset kind of makes it a whole bunch better. It's actually a really nice, really quite an earnest show. I really like it, man. I think you'd like it a lot.
I'll give it a go eventually. I've heard good things. The reviews seem good as well. Didn't that show start as like a joke or something from an advert or something? Like, I heard
it wouldn't surprise
this.
me. It feels like a bad SNL skit or something, like, but it's actually turned out to be really bloody good. And I know SNL have done that, where they've turned like a small sketch on like Saturday Night Live, and they turned it into a movie. I think like the Blues Brothers, Tenacious D, they all started on SNL, I think. Okay, Craig, are you ready to hit me with some hatred?
Oh.
Hit me with some hatred, motherfucker.
I recently watched for the first time the whole thing, The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe with my daughter, my wife, and I really fucking hated it. I really, really fucking hated this film. it was so I don't understand why it's rated so well. Like I think I checked it today. I think on IMDb it has like 6.9, but I think some of the ratings like they really hold it really well. And actually it won an Oscar, I think, or at least something for like makeup design, which okay, I guess it gets that. But like it's really fucking annoying because they're so fucking posh. Have you seen this, Tobias? They're really, really fucking
I
posh, these
mean,
kids. And
I've seen like clips. I haven't watched the whole movie or
they're
any
they're
of the movies in full.
they're all from Cambridge, and they talk so naturally posh. You know, it's really inflection, like it's really ingrained into the way that they talk. I don't think they're putting that on. That's really
PR,
in there.
darling, PR.
No, even posher than that, like almost royalty level, and it's really. Ugh, I just find it so repulsive, to be honest. Maybe it's just
Yeah.
because I'm a anti-monarchy, kind of, I guess, almost Republican kind of guy in a British sense. Like I hate the monarchy and rich people, so I guess that's part of why I hated it so much. But like, fuck me, man, because there's also the
Mm.
idea because these four kids when they enter Narnia, they're supposed to like basically inherit it. They're supposed to be like the kings and queens of this place. I was just thinking about how like, so they're just these little entitled little pricks, and I found them so fucking annoying. Their acting was really bad as well. These kids also they're so posh. One of them is I looked it up on Wikipedia. Is related to Darwin. It's like fuck me, kid. Like
What, Charles Darwin?
Charles fucking Darwin. Yeah, it's like
He's
a
actually
great.
related to.
Yeah.
Fuck off.
And I think there's another guy. I forgot his full name. His last name is Keynes. He's an economist. He's was very famous at the time. Basically, uh, I won't go into it, but basically, he's very well known. And like how this guy is related to both of these fuckers. And I'm thinking, fuck me, this kid. Like I get really frustrated when I see British stuff that's supposed to be portrayed internationally, and everyone is extremely posh, and it
Yeah.
just really grates on me. Really grates on me. But apart from that, the story just was shit. Like, it's not really very interesting story. It's very basic. If you like, you just need like half a brain, and you can see exactly where this is going. One thing that was quite funny actually when I was watching this is that the Ray Winstone is actually in it. Speaking of non-posh people, he plays a beaver, and there's one bit where he's attacked by a wolf, and he's telling the kids, "Get away, go on, kids, run, whatever," some bullshit like this, and my daughter starts crying, said, "No, the beaver," and I just thought it was so weird, the idea of my daughter crying Way Winston as a beaver being attacked by a wolf. It's just not something I thought I'd ever see. She didn't cry when Aslan, the lion, was killed, which is very brutal. But she did cry when the beaver was bitten by a wolf. Also,
Maybe it's
around that,
because she thought it was you with your English accent.
maybe, yeah. And then there's also a really stupid bit around this part of the film where they're trapped on two sides of a frozen waterfall. There's wolves on both sides, and they can't get across this icy bit of the river. So the boy, the main, I guess the oldest brother, stabs his sword into the ice, and it cracks open the waterfall, and all the water floods out. And I'm just thinking, this is really fucking stupid. Like, how could how would you think that would work, and how does it work, and how are you still alive? Like, it was very strange. Like, whoever came up with that idea it just didn't feel normal. We also have Tilda Swinton who's in it as well. She's the White Witch, and I guess she does quite suit it. Like, she does seem like a villainous witch, but like her character is just evil for the sake of being evil. And sometimes she
Yeah.
just says and does these really evil things and cruel things. It's like there's not really a point behind this. It's kind of a bit why it just feels like a lack of depth of character, to be honest. Like, if it made sense, I'd be up for it, but it just feels like it's just been stupid. So in the end,
Just
yeah,
evil woman.
yeah,
That's it.
that's it. Very template, boring character. And yeah, it's just jumping on the bandwagon of the early 2000s Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings. So yeah, that's my hate for the month.
All right. Are you ready to hit me with the stopwatch?
I'm ready. Are you ready?
I'm ready.
All right, here we go.
Okay. So there's lots of things that came out this month and last month. I think this movie came out a while back actually, but I only recently got round to watching it. Fucking Cocaine Bear. Now, the thing is, with a movie called Cocaine Bear, I'm expecting to really fucking like that movie. Do you know what I mean? Like, it just feels like that's going to be a movie really for, you know, people like me that like a good joke and a good bit of action, you know, like, I don't really know what I can say about Cocaine Bear, Craig. um, like I'll be honest, I was quite excited for it. I was hoping for like a modern day spoof of like Jaws in the woods with cocaine. Like that's what I was sort of hoping for. But what we got was like a forgettable, you know, just a fucking mess of a film, really. Like I think the basic, I forget so much about this movie, but basically I remember that some of the plot's basically some kids find some coke in the woods. And when I say kids, I mean these are like young kids. And then they try some coke, and then they turn around, and then there's a bear, and there's coke all over the bear's nose. So we know that the bear's had some, and he's back for his next bump. And that's pretty much it. That's pretty much the whole movie. You know, we barely see the bear. You know who directed it? Elizabeth Banks directed it. Do you know Elizabeth Banks?
Yeah, I didn't know she directed.
Yeah, she directed Cocaine Bear, and I'll be honest with you, I'm a little bit in love with her. I really love Elizabeth Banks. I think she's so like incredibly beautiful. I think she's a really funny person. I think she's super talented. Like, yeah, I'm a little bit in love with her. But if I'm perfectly honest, her direction doesn't really bring anything unique to a movie which, let's be honest, it's a low budget movie called Cocaine Bear. And the premise is it's a bear on cocaine going on a rampage. With a premise like that, I think you need to be quite bold with your direction. I think you need to be unique. Yeah, and I don't think, I just thought it was a very basic film about a bear on cocaine. Like, if I'm honest, I was watching the movie and I was thinking maybe if you did the whole film again, but from the perspective of the bear, maybe that would just on its own make the movie immediately more interesting. You know, I just felt the movie was really boring. For a movie called Cocaine Bear, it shouldn't be fucking boring. Do you get me? So instead, it's like really limited screen time for Cocaine Bear, the star of the movie. There's very limited screen time because it's a CGI fucking bear, badly CGI'd, by the way, and it's a lot of screen time for like really forgettable characters that you don't really care about. You're not going to remember them by the end of the movie. I'll tell you who's in it. Ray Liotta's in it, and I forget what he did in it. And it's really sad because apparently I heard the other day that Ray Liotta died. Did you know about this?
Who? Ray the Otter.
Ray Liotta from Goodfellas. He apparently died. He was in Cocaine Bear. He died a week after completing his stuff for Cocaine Bear. And it's such a shame that this is his last film because I like Ray Liotta.
Oh my god, man! The way you said his last name had me so confused. I just realized who you're talking about.
How do you say Ray Liotta?
Liotta, I always thought.
Liotta.
Yeah.
Ray Liotta. Oh, Ray Liotta. Ray Liotta. Ray Liotta.
Ray the Yotta is basically what it sounds like you're saying.
Well, Ray Liotta. Ray Liotta.
This is not the first time, by the way, you've said a name. It's completely confused me.
I mean, maybe it's like maybe you need to say it with like a New York Italian American accent.
Liotta.
Hey, Liotta. But yeah,
You've passed 5 minutes,
Unfortunately,
by the way.
yeah, I thought I would have by now. Now that we've talked about Ray Liotta for a bit, but yeah, I think it's just a shit film. I could have I could have wrapped everything up in my 5 minutes in 5 seconds. Just be like, it's fucking shit. Don't bother watching it, even though Elizabeth Banks is a goddess.
That's quite sad. But I have a question for you.
Go on.
Cocaine Bear or Winnie the Pooh Blood and Honey?
Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey's better.
Yeah? Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
yeah, it's actually. I'll be honest with you. I think let's save our opinions for Winnie the Pooh because I think we should do it on the pod. But if I'm perfectly honest, I was actually surprised at how much I enjoyed it.
Oh, really?
Well, I
Oh,
thought
okay.
the kills were very good. The kills were very good. I like the kills a lot, and I think for a slasher movie, kills are important. Probably the
Yeah.
most important. You need creative kills. That'll make your film more memorable. So yeah, I actually found myself enjoying Winnie the Pooh. Let's save that for another time. I think we should do Winnie the Pooh very soon as well.
Yeah, it's quite sad as you said, because I heard similar things about Cocaine Bear that nothing really happens, which is really silly, like really dumb. Like you have such an opportunity there, and then just not to do anything really with it, because you could have some really
Yeah,
fun stuff happening in that film, some really crazy shit, and it just
you
seems
really can.
like they just didn't do that.
Hmm. No, I agree. I agree. So I would not recommend Cocaine Bear. I do think Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey is worth a watch.
All right, I'll give that a go. We should definitely do a
Yeah.
pod on it.
I mean, I think you should probably watch Cocaine Bear, but like, you're not going to like it. I didn't like it at all. Maybe you would like it. Maybe I've just not got it. But I didn't
It
find it very
it
engaging.
it does seem like the way that you've described it that it wasn't very memorable. Like it
Yeah.
just didn't. There was it seemed like you were struggling to really think of a way to talk about this film. So that's not a good sign.
Yeah. Should we rate? I'm not going to rate Ted Lasso because I haven't watched it all yet. But I would give Cocaine Bear like 3 out of 10.
Hmm.
If I'm
Okay.
honest.
What should I rate
What
what
would
I've
you?
watched?
Yeah. What would you rate Narnia?
I don't know. I'm not very good at rating things. I think I take it too personally. Uh,
I've taken personal offence to this kid coming out of the wardrobe. You know,
and these
sound like
posh
Craig.
little shits. Um, I found it pretty boring. I like the acting wasn't really very interesting. It was very guessable film, very
Hmm.
generic film. It's just this British poshness, which I really just find irritating. I would probably give it like at least a 4 or a 5. Like it's just really boring film. I
Yeah.
don't. I've
Oh,
seen
so
it now.
you're rating it higher than Cocaine Bear.
It's probably better than Cocaine Bear from what you've told me and from what I've
Yeah.
heard.
I
But
think it
it's
is
still,
probably better than Cocaine Bear. I don't
yeah,
think there's any excuse for the bad CGI in Cocaine Bear when we know that when all this we've seen so many films with amazing CGI nowadays that like there's just no excuses for bad CG anymore. It's really world breaking unless you've got a good excuse for it, unless it fits the aesthetic of the film, unless the tone of the film requires it. It just doesn't work. You can't do it serious. You can't make us take it seriously if it's badly CG'd.
yeah, especially when the film really depends on it. Like it's just that's
Yeah.
just really stupid.
So Craig, are you ready to hit me with something that you want to see more of?
All right, let me press the start button. Okay, I want more of Masamir, if that's how you pronounce it.
So what?
Masamir, I think that's how you pronounce it. It's on Netflix, by the way. Something for you to watch on Netflix.
Okay.
Actually, so someone in our little Facebook group reminded me that this show existed recently. And it's quite an interesting little show. It's from Saudi Arabia, and it's a satire on Saudi Arabian culture. I remember I was just scrolling through like Netflix one day, And so Saudi Arabian satire. Okay, I got to
Mm.
give this a go because it sounds like quite odd. I was very curious to see, how they could push the boundaries with that, and it's quite a big thing actually. So a lot of it really is like it's mostly about Saudi Arabian culture today and how it's kind of changed and like how it conflicts with like this very religious, conservative kind of country, but it's also becoming quite modern at the same time, and it's becoming quite wealthy. And it pushes a lot of stereotypes about what you might think Saudi Arabia is really like if you're watching it from as a foreigner, anyway.
Mm.
And it's I think there are a lot of like things that they just can't touch. Like I don't think there's much. I don't think there's anything about sexuality ever mentioned. They also don't ever talk about the king, and they don't ever really talk about the state. Uh,
Right.
so there are some areas that okay, those are total no-nos. We can't go there. But what's quite interesting is though it seems like this is made them more creative because they have to work around this stuff, not to get in trouble, I believe. And like there's even one time I remember where one character is flipping off someone else, but you don't actually see the full hand. You just see like the tip of their finger from their point of view. So you can see the
Mm.
ends of the fingers, but you know that they're flipping someone off. So I think there's some stuff, okay, we can't film that exactly, but we can film around it. Uh yeah, and it's pretty funny. A lot of it feels like you have to watch the whole episode to get like the punchline. Usually it's at the end. And but it's not always a comedy, by the way. Sometimes it gets a bit serious. Like there's one episode that I quite liked, which is about a bookshop owner, and one day some guy comes in demanding a book that's banned. It's a sex book actually, but
Mm.
it's banned in the country, and it becomes this kind of crime thing. And in the end, the bookshop owner ends up like having to kill them all or something, and it's very crazy. But it's all because of a banned book. But this would only ever happen in Saudi Arabia. And there's also another really great episode that I really liked, where these two Saudi guys have to compete so they can marry this Saudi woman who grew up in England, and they have to, so she wants to marry an Arab guy, but they also have to be like kind of okay with like Western culture and stuff. And these guys are just for some village or something, so they have to go through all these little trials, and like so they make them like eat this big meal, and at the end they say, "Oh, that's pork," and say, "Oh shit," and they want to puke it out, but they can't. They say, "No, if you if you spit out the pork, then you don't pass the thing." So they have to hold it in. And I think they also have to, they're forced to wear like thongs and stuff like this now. If you don't wear it, you'll get bitten by a wildcat or something. And then at the end, they have to show that they're open-minded and they can talk to anybody. So they get there's this big like lineup of people, and they have to pick who they're going to talk to. Like there's someone who's Jewish, there's someone from India, there's someone from the West, and at the end, they both pick these two girls who are standing at the end, and they turn out to be feminists. And they can't do it. They can't talk to these feminists, and eventually they end up in a coma at the end of the episode, which is quite funny. So yeah, it's quite an interesting show. I do quite like watching shows that are not from the US or Europe because it's something different, and I really didn't expect this to be such an interesting show. Uh, yeah, I recommend it. Give it a go, Massamir, if I'm pronouncing it correctly. I think there was actually two
Massamir.
shows. Yeah, there was two shows. There was some short thing, Massamir Shorts, and then there was the show after. I think they got a budget. And I think there was almost a 2-year gap between the first and second season. Maybe that's because of the coronavirus.
Mm.
So I don't know if they have trouble finding money sometimes. I think they're just a small studio that make this. Yeah, I really recommend it. It's quite an unusual show. If you want something different, if you're interested in what culture is really like there, give that a go.
Yeah,
That's
it
my
does
five.
sound quite. Yeah, it does sound quite interesting. I'll definitely give that a shout. Massamir on Netflix.
Yeah.
All right, nice one, Craig. Are you ready for my one?
Yes, once they reset this thingamajiggy. Thingamajig. Lots of
The
jigs.
thingamajigs.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Go.
Okay, so I nearly put this for my hate selection, but now I'm going to put it for my see more collection selection. Sorry. So I went to see Dungeons and Dragons a while back. The new, I think it's called like Legends of fucking Heroes or some bullshit. I don't know. Dungeons and Dragons Hero Time. I don't know. Look it up. I don't know. I've no idea what it's called. Um, I just see. I'm surprised because there's like a lot of there's a lot of love on the internet I'm seeing for this movie. I think it got like a 7.6 or something on IMDb, something crazy. And I watched it and I was really not bothered at all. I was like, it's whatever. Like the characters are fine, I guess, but the actors are not the best. And the story's pretty bare bones. Like the pros of it, there's a fat dragon. There's a fat dragon, and I won't lie, fat dragon, really fun. I like fat dragon. Sorry, spoilers by the way, guys, unless you've seen it already. There's a fat dragon. I like the fat dragon. It kind of acts like a puppy, even though like it's trying to kill them. Like I like fat dragon. I quite liked Michelle Rodriguez, but I kind of have a soft spot for her because of Resident Evil anyway. So I've always liked Michelle Rodriguez, even when she's bad in something. I don't think she's bad in this though. And Hugh Grant's in it. He's like, he is a bad guy, but then it turns out that there's a bigger bad guy. But I like Hugh Grant. I mean, there's something about Hugh Grant in there. He's just super charming and charismatic that, yeah, you can't help but like him. The bad things, the story, there isn't really one. Acting, there isn't much. The CGI was dreadful. The villain, the actual big bad, is just some fucking bald fuck in a red robe that has like blood magic or some such bollocks. And they've been around the whole movie, but they've said fucking nothing at all. So I've got real no idea what this human being is behind this bad guy. The ending is so fucking cliche and shit. Everyone gets gold, by the way, Craig. You know I hate that shit where everyone gets a happy ending. The whole city gets gold at the end. I forgot pretty much. Oh yeah, there's this cliche. So like, okay, big spoiler alert. Do you mind if I spoil it for you, Craig?
Go on, I'm not going to watch it.
So, spoiler alert. So the whole movie, he's been after this medallion or some bollocks that will make the dead come back to life. And then at the end of the movie, he has the medallion. He's going to bring his wife back to life. But then Michelle Rodriguez gets killed. Oh, no. And she's dead. Oh. And then he uses the medallion to bring Michelle Rodriguez back to life. This fucking cliche that the device that you've been looking for this whole movie to do something, someone gives their life so you can go and do it, and you just waste it on them. Like, don't get me wrong, I like Michelle Rodriguez, but like, I just don't see any logical through line there. It's like, no, use it the way you were initially going to do, like initially going to use it, and that makes way more sense to me. So yeah, I don't really know what else to say.
But
it doesn't
you wanted
really
more of it.
Well, okay, so this is the thing. So it doesn't really stretch any boundaries. It doesn't do anything new. It's like, but it's basic fun. It is basic fun, but it's not much more beyond basic fun. Just the movie, right? But obviously, it's not called Heroes of Tomorrow or whatever the fuck it's called. It's called Dungeons and Dragons, Legends of the Future, or whatever the fuck it's called. But Dungeons and Dragons is like, it's Dungeons and Dragons with a colon. So this is going to be a franchise. It's sort of inevitable that there will be sequels. There will be more movies within this universe. And, you know, it did have some good gags. Some characters were well written and the gags were decent. But the scope of it is fucking massive. Anyone who's played Dungeons and Dragons will tell you that the scope is just fucking huge. So since it's inevitable that we're going to be getting more of these movies, and it looks like people like it, I want later films to give me. All right, let me finish. I'm nearly done. I just want later films to have better and more interesting plots, and then I think I can get on board with this franchise. And that's it. That's pretty much everything I have to say.
That's interesting.
But I'd give this movie maybe a 4. I'd give it maybe a 5 out of 10. I didn't like it.
And that's very interesting because I did remember seeing the poster and thinking, I bet they're just going to make it literally about Dungeons and Dragons instead of taking the whole scope of it, like looking at the actual board game and seeing how much you can do with this. I thought like, do they have anything about people playing the actual game in that film?
No.
That's
no,
so
they don't.
stupid,
But
in my opinion.
What the way I saw it is the movie is basically like I could imagine that 4 friends could sit down at a table and play the movie.
Yeah,
like I'm sure they could do that. But I think you're right. I think you need some sort of Lord of the Rings level epic, like grandness, something big, something to show off the scope of this universe. A movie that does show the whole universe in one easily digestible 2 to 3 hours, movie. And I think you could have yourself a good little flick. Maybe something political within it. Maybe there is a quest, but maybe the quest is only like the main plot or a subplot that's running throughout while the main plot goes on. Yeah, I think you can do a lot with it. But right now, I did not love it. But I'm looking forward to seeing better stuff coming out of this universe.
I hope they'll get it. I was just thinking they should get the Daniels to do that. Could you imagine if if they could do what they did with Everything Everywhere All at Once to
the Dungeons and Dragons?
Yeah, I think that would work really well.
Yeah, that would be insane. I think that's a really, really good shout. All right. Well, Craig, I think that's it. Well done. Another month, another group of movies to talk about. I had fun.
Me too. Yeah, that was interesting little month. I'm hoping for more interesting stuff though, because it feels like that I'm running dry on shit. I'm reading books.
Let's hope next month we have more stuff to talk about. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
Well, stuff that I'm more passionate about talking about. I really hope so. All right then, everyone. Well, thank you for listening to Film Shrapnel. Please go and follow us on Twitter at Film Shrapnel, capital F, capital S. And Craig, do you want to say anything to the fellow lovers of film out there?
I would say knees, but my knees actually been really fucked for the last few months. So I feel like I've cursed myself. So
don't keep it knees. Instead, just
leave. Just get the fuck out of here.
Just get the fuck out of here.
Ray Liotta.
Shrapnel.